Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how CEOs, founders, and senior executives sell their ideas, point of view, and personal brand to the people who matter most. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want to build market eminence, amplify your influence, and attract high-value prospects, investors, partners, talent, and media opportunities with less chasing and more confidence. Let's go. There is an old saying that it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And even what you keep, you'll probably screw that up. So we have an amazing treat today. My guest, MC Laubscher. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to our conversation.
So people need to get ready for this sexy South African accent. They need to just slow down, pull over, get ready to take some notes. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, MC, tell people a little bit about your professional journey that brought you to the work that you're doing today, and what were some interesting pit stops along the way?
Yeah, so I grew up in South Africa during a very interesting time in the country's history. So I was a young man when the whole government switched from the apartheid regime to a new democratically elected government, and Nelson Mandela became the president. I still remember as a young man when Nelson Mandela was released from prison. So it was very interesting times for sure. So that was a gift, because I realized as a young man too that the narratives that were going wrong, there's a lot of misinformation, right? So that turned me into a lifelong student, researching things, learning new things, always questioning everything that I hear, verifying things for myself. But I left South Africa after university. I came to the United States, a backpack, a suitcase, couple $100, sense of humor and sense of adventure. And I played in a sports league here up until 2007. While I was doing that, I was the guy on the team bus or on the team plane with business books, investing books. I was that guy, not the video games. I was the guy with the books. But I learned a lot about business and investing. I took action. So I actually started a real estate business as I was still pursuing a career in sports, and just took the money that I generated from athletics and bought real estate with it. And I still remember, the first property that I bought, I put some tenants in them. I collected the rent. I paid all the bills, and there was cash flow. Mind blown. How many times can I do this? And that business was up and running. And the origin of that business was Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And just like in the book, cash flow was generated. And of course, then school starts, right? So I was a real estate investor. And then I also, through my network of friends, came into this concept of becoming your own banker, because I realized what wealthy families were doing. This friend of mine had a family office, and they ran. He was a fourth generation family member, and this family has had this family office, multi-generational strategy for 50 to 60 years. So I learned a lot from that. I learned and took what I learned from him, incorporated it into my own life, and then started to see massive results. So 10 years ago, I started my company, Producers Wealth, where we help people create their own banking system. Our mission is to elevate the financial well-being of business owners and their families. And I also had a podcast called Cash Flow Ninja, sticking on the cash flow kind of theme, where, we just talk about different types of investments, different ways to generate income, and different business kind of strategies. So where I'm at today is Producers Wealth is my firm, helping business owners in all 50 states virtually, which we've been virtually for 10 years, which is also an interesting story. But having a blast and love serving the people that make the world go around, right? The business owners.
Now, it's funny when it comes to money, financial management, wealth creation, wealth preservation. People have, I think, an unrealistic sense of risk. If I was to say, MC, we have this amazing, new, innovative, cutting-edge way to lose weight, you would listen to me. If I said, MC, we have this amazing new cutting edge way to generate leads off the internet, you would listen to me. When people say, MC, you have a very interesting, innovative way to maintain and grow wealth, people like, oh my God, hold on, too scary, too risky. This must be a scam. This must be a scheme. What the heck is going on? Tell us how you articulate the magic behind what you do, and tell us a little bit just psychologically how we need to look at this rationally instead of emotionally.
If you have a business, 99% of the financial advice that you're getting as a business owner is probably not applicable to you. It's to the general public. So if for the general public, 99, like most of the financial advice, they can apply. For a business owner, you are in a completely different situation than the general public. And unfortunately, they're marketing to the masses. Yeah. That's the information going out to the general public. So as a business owner, yeah, you have to do things almost completely different and almost to the opposite of what everybody else is doing. Yeah. So when you start your business, you're grinding. It's long nights. It's blood, sweat, tears, everything. And then you survive and the business survives. And then the business starts growing. At that stage, before the growth, you look like a broke person on a financial statement. Most of us, unless you grew up in a wealthy family or with a silver spoon in your mouth, we're all in, right? This is what we're going to do. Nobody wants to talk to you. No financial advisors, tax people, lawyers. No one talks to you at that stage because you're not quite a perfect candidate for them. But now the business is growing. It keeps growing and it has momentum. It's profitable. And now you're growing and scaling. And suddenly, now all of those folks that never wanted to sit down with you, now they're banging on your door. And let's just say you sit down with a financial advisor. The first thing that they're going to tell you to do is we need to diversify a little bit outside of your business. Let's take some money outside of your business and I'll put it in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and ETFs for you. What happened right there is that the money that you've used to reinvest in your business, to grow your business and maintain this momentum is now taking outside of your business, given to a financial advisor, and you're investing, it gets worse, in other people's businesses. You are providing liquidity for Apple to grow their business. Yeah. So now you don't have it for yours. And by the way, I love Apple. Tim Cook's great. I love Apple products. So it's a completely different kind of paradigm that you have. And then the other thing is, as a business owner, as opposed to the general public, you're responsible for a lot of other families and you're managing cash flow for your business. And there's 4 seasons. The summer season, high revenue months, easy to manage a business in high revenue months, pay overheads, payrolls, and so forth. Easy. Winter, slowest month, much harder. And then of course, from the summer, you go into the fall, into the winter. And what gets you from the spring to the summer? You have to reinvest in the business, new marketing campaigns, bringing in technology. You actually need some money to do that. But because you've diversified outside of your business and given your money to other businesses to grow their businesses, like Apple, you now are beholden to banks. And every single business owner that's listening to this, you know what it feels like to walk into a bank and ask for a line of credit. And I mean, it's besides the proctology exam that's going to follow, you feel beholden to them. And that's just to maintain your business. And then the third thing that I also wanted to make sure that people grasp too is that we are always looking at things outside of our business that is more profitable, or we could get a bigger return on than our own business. It's all, we've worked with several business owners for 10 years. It's almost impossible. I say almost, there might be a unicorn somewhere to get a bigger return anywhere else than in your own business, investing in your own business that you control, you understand your industry, your ecosystem, your competitors, that you're crushing it in that space, right? So that's where you get your biggest return. So what we look at is, where do you position capital where you can access it at any time, guaranteed access to grow your business, provide liquidity for your business, not Tim Cook's Apple business, where do you position capital that you can access it to manage cash flow? You know, the payrolls and investment in technology, hiring more folks and so forth, and reinvest in your number one asset as a business owner, which will generate the biggest return for you, your business. So it just puts you firmly in control of the process to have access to money at all given point in time to run your business and grow and scale your business.
Hey, super quick station break question. Have you seen our free executive briefing on elevating your CEO brand? Check it out right now at doitmarketing.com/webinar. And now back to the show. I want to dig a little bit deeper into some of that. Quick detour before we go there. One of the things that I really admire about the way that you and Producers Wealth shows up in the marketplace. You understand and you appreciate, and I would even say that you relish the role that education has, prospect education, client education. You have an amazing book that we'll talk about in a moment, but on your website, so many resources, so many videos, and I don't mean short little 3, 4, 5-minute videos. I mean in-depth master classes that break all of this down with things like insurance products, investment products, creating the family banking system that you mentioned, being your own bank, how to use assets you own to acquire more assets. And these are like 40, 50, sometimes hour-long trainings, right? 40-minute, 45-minute, 50-minute in-depth trainings. Tell me a little bit about how you look at that prospect or marketplace education as a key component of your success that you've built.
I think education is one of the most powerful things that one can have access to. And knowledge is power. Correct knowledge that's applied is even more powerful. So we produce a lot of presentations. We share a lot of education. We do webinars. We do master classes. We have a ton of books, resources, reports, and everything that we learn, we share too. So our clients, they have access to a client portal with 10 years worth of courses and of just best practices. And also folks that are not clients, that we put a ton of content out on our website. So, I think that's one way to stand out in the marketplace is just sharing and educating folks. And, it's interesting. Somebody said the other day, what's your sales process like? I said, well, it's more an education process than a sales process. Yeah. So if we share the powerful strategies that's out there, people would want us to help us, execute them for them. So that's kind of been the approach, is just empowering people and sharing the information, because as I mentioned before, I feel there's such a gap in the marketplace where business owners just don't get the information, especially financial information that they need, because if you really think about it, and financial services as a whole and business owners, where it fits into it, a big part of the financial services industry is, hey, let's give me your money and I'll take care of it and manage it for you. Where the business owner actually needs their money. They don't quite need someone else to manage it for them. They need it so that they can use it to grow their business. So yeah, it's extremely, it's a big purpose of mine to just educate, teach, and share all these powerful strategies.
Yes, absolutely. At the risk of maybe simplifying or at least kind of popularizing this one concept, because I think very sophisticated financial folks know how this works. Most of us business owners do not. What is the role of insurance and insurance products in wealth management, wealth creation, wealth expansion?
Yeah, if you think about wealth management and wealth expansion, the number one thing that people should be focusing on is risk management. I used to play sports, as I mentioned, and also coach sports. And the first thing in any sports, whether I boxing as a kid, I played rugby and so forth, I'll use this example. When they teach you how to box as a young kid, the first thing they teach you is how to protect your face, not to get hit in the face. The second thing that they teach you is how to go hit the other guy in the face, right?
Yeah.
In sports too, where we've all heard the saying, offense wins games, defenses win championships. It's the same thing in wealth management, and growing and expanding wealth. It's very tough to grow and multiply wealth if you continually run into this process where you lose wealth constantly, right? It's let's keep it, let's protect it, and let's keep growing it over time. So life insurance is a very, very misunderstood asset class. And I mentioned, I call it an asset class specifically because there's two different worlds. If you think about how the ultra wealthy look at life insurance, they look at it as an asset class just like real estate. It's supposed to do something for you, just like real estate. Where if you think about how life insurance especially is sold just again to the general population, number one, it's not, people don't like it. They don't like to buy it. They don't like the people selling it. It's got a stigma around it, because for the most part, for the general population, somebody has to die in order for someone else to benefit. But if you look at it, how it's used by the ultra wealthy corporations, even banks themselves, you can structure life insurance very specifically and in a manner where it is actually a supercharged savings vehicle. And it's a place where you can warehouse capital. So yes, it is a life insurance policy that's structured where the majority of the premiums go to the cash value, which is the savings component of it. So 70 to 80% of premiums would go straight to the savings component of it. And also it has the death benefit to it. And the money that's in there is guaranteed. It's guaranteed to grow tax-free. And if you structure it with a mutual life insurance carrier and you have a dividend-paying whole life insurance policy with this mutual life insurance carrier, that's structured very, very, very different than from what that product is sold to the general population. It's structured specifically as the savings vehicle. You also get dividends. And some of these companies have paid out dividends since the mid-1800s. And the nice part of this vehicle is that you can access the capital inside of this policy tax-free through policy loans to use as part of your own banking system in your business to grow and expand your business. So I'll give you a quick example. So you could set up this policy in your own name and your family's name, or a trust. Let's just say it's in a family trust. You set up this vehicle, and this is basically your family bank, and a combination of policies, whether it's both spouses, children, you can build out your family bank, which is one of the things that we teach. Now, your business needs some money, some capital, right? So instead of going to a bank, you're going to the family trust, the family bank. You initiate a policy loan. The trust will then provide the funding for your business, and there's a note. You're getting a loan from your family's trust, just like you would from a bank. You use the money to invest in your business, whether it's a marketing campaign, new employees, and so forth. You repay the family trust, and there's a profit that the family trust is making, by the way. And now your money is working in many places simultaneously. It's inside of this quote unquote family bank, which is this policy or a combination of policies. And money is just growing. It's guaranteed, tax-free, and you earn uninterrupted compounding because you never actually touch the money. You just place the cash value as collateral for a loan from the insurance company. So it's growing there. You still have a death benefit for the family too if something should happen to you. And you were able to loan that money to the business and make a profit as the banker, and your business was able to take it, invest it in the business, which there's great tax favorable treatment for that, grow the business and repay the loan just like as your business would do it to an outside third party like a bank. Yeah. The only difference is you're the banker. You own this banking system, and you're in control of it, and the money flows back into your system, which you get to control and you profit from.
Holy smokes, so much value in this episode. Listen, if you are loving what you're hearing, feel free to download, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to The Selling Show. Now, back to the interview. Amazing. So you just blew everybody's mind. Perfect segue into the book. Because people hear this, and I'm sure people even read your book or they book a call with you. And the thought, I'm sure, whether they've watched some videos, read the book, book a chat with you, why didn't I know about this before? Why is this like the world's best kept secret for preserving business owners' wealth? But it is, and now it's no longer a secret because you have this amazing book out there called Get Wealthy for Sure. I totally love the subtitle of this book also, MC. It's the #1 financial strategy for business owners to multiply wealth predictably, which you just brilliantly laid out at the macro level. Tell us about your adventures in book publishing and what will people find in the book, and what drove you to write the book in the first place?
Yeah, if we look at just the financial landscape and the information that's out there, I mean, it's a hoot. Everything from speculative stocks that makes the news headlines, right? Yeah. Or it's all these meme coins, these crypto meme coins, and I almost felt like everybody was just looking for a get rich quick kind of option. Yeah. And I looked at this and said, "There's no such thing as a get rich quick." By the way, if you're listening to this, if you found it, please let me know. I've looked for it for 25 years. I've been unable to find it. But instead of the get rich quick kind of mentality, which is our attention span is very, very short these days. I think collectively we have the attention span of an ant. So TikTok influencers are promoting a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's a zoo out there. So I said, well, what can I provide in a world that it collectively has lost its mind in the financial world, to provide some clarity for folks that are just they're not looking for a quick fix, not for a pill to swallow to cure all ills and make all their problems disappear, but for people that are disciplined, people that understand the process and understand systems, and people that want to take control of their life. So instead of the get rich quick kind of syndrome, I named the book Get Wealthy for Sure, the #1 financial strategy for business owners to multiply wealth predictably. This is something I've personally done for 15 years. We as a family have, we had 11, we have 12 policies now. I was almost going to say 11. We just added another one of these policies in the past week. So 12 policies as a family now. We practice what we preach. We eat our own cooking. And inside the book, I break down the biggest challenges that business owners face financially, and then how they can position capital more efficiently to address all of these challenges and kind of, take control of their capital, position it in a place that benefits them, their business, and their family, and then also share just strategies for business owners and their families of how to have clarity, certainty, and predictability, and also have contingency planning, because that's another thing that we never think about. I think of business owners as superheroes. And most people might think of it too, but unfortunately, bad things happen to good people all the time, and we share strategies too of how to incorporate to make sure that your business has succession and contingency planning, and your family has succession and contingency planning. Once you have all of this down and you have your own banking system up and running, now you can swing for the fences as a business owner, because you have all of the foundations in place now to grow your business and just scale it predictably.
So you also have a tremendous podcast, and obviously we like to talk about the intersection of speaking, publishing, and podcasting. Tell us about the podcast and how that came to be, and is that a business development asset, or how do you capitalize on that channel?
I started the podcast Cashflow Ninja in 2016. So a year after I started my company, Producers Wealth. And the reason why I started it is I just had amazing conversations with all of our clients, and they were into incredible things. I mean, my mind was just blown. Every conversation that I had with someone, just to figure out what they do and how they generate income and so forth, or what their business is about and how they provide value to the marketplace, was just mind blowing. I was learning constantly every single call from all these incredible business owners. So I wanted to create a show to share and showcase a lot of the stuff that I was learning. And so it started as a passion project, but before we could figure out what we were actually doing, because remember, you had to explain what a podcast was back in 2016. But before we were kind of figuring out what we were doing, I mean, the show really started to resonate. People, they started to share it. We started to get into the, back then it was iTunes, now it's Apple Podcasts.
Right.
We got into those rankings, and before we knew it, we reached millions of people in over 180 countries. So it kind of like it was not done strategically at all. It was kind of a fun passion project, but it's turned into a great platform where we continue to have great conversations, share content, and just share different strategies with regards to business and investing.
Amazing. Tell me a little bit about your speaking strategy, both online and in person. You mentioned webinars are a big part of what you do. That is certainly a speaking strategy. How about live events? Do you go to conferences? Tell me how else you spread the word with speaking.
Yeah, so conferences, we do conferences, we do masterminds, we speak to many different groups. And I love it because you could feel the energy in the room, right? You're connected to the audience, and you never ever know which direction it's going to go with questions too. So I love the podcast. I love the webinars, the online stuff, and that has its own kind of dynamic with the chats that's in there and people engaging and so forth. But just speaking in front of folks and being in a room where you could feel the energy and connect with people and the questions that come out. I still love doing that. So that is a very big part of our strategy too.
Beautiful. Tremendous. Before we get to the goodies and the resources and the links that we're going to share with people, if folks were to take one overarching idea from our conversation today, MC, about how business owners need to look at their financial assets and their financial future, what would you love that one takeaway concept for them to be?
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki every year. So I've been reading it now for 25 years. Yeah. Every year I get a golden nugget out of it. And my biggest nugget was the one year I looked at all the financial statements that he shared in the book, and I looked at all of the liabilities on a person's financial statement. And I looked at this and I go, this is kind of insane. Well, who's benefiting from it? And on the other side of the transaction was the banks. It was all the assets of the banks, all of the liabilities that you have, the stuff that keeps you up at night, is the assets of the banks. And then I met one of my mentors, great late mentor, Nelson Nash. He wrote the book, Becoming Your Own Banker. And Nelson said to me, and I think this is the biggest takeaway from this conversation, he said, MC, as a business owner, you need to be in two businesses. The business that you're in and the banking business. You have to. So that's the only way that you're going to have control as a business owner. So I implemented that in my own life. And like I said, I've been doing this for 15 years, and it was probably one of the greatest decisions I've ever made. So be in two businesses, the business that you're in and the banking business.
Wow. MC Laubscher, you are a rock star. Tell us where people can get connected and stay connected to more brilliance, Producers Wealth, the book, everything. We'll put all of those in the show notes.
GetWealthyForSure.com. So the link is at GetWealthyForSure.com. And when you go to GetWealthyForSure.com, I have an offer right now for listeners and for viewers. We're shipping a free paperback book. Just pay for shipping and handling. So we'll mail it out to you. at our cost. And then also there is a link there to all of the webinars that we're doing, all of the different presentations that you can enjoy. And if you want to have a conversation and explore options for you, there's a link there too, just to schedule a call with myself and my team. That's at getwealthyforsure.com.
Amazing. And that link and everything else is waiting for you online directly under this episode at thesellingshow.com. MC, I appreciate you. You've been incredible. This is my litmus test for guests that you have gotten an A+++. Radically helpful and radically generous. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.